Okay, we're going to start part 2 of the War Game series. And we're still going to be looking at Lasker and Parks. Quick review of Lawrence Lasker in the last video. His grandfather is Albert Lasker. His father was president of several banks. He's the Edward Bernays figure. Shaped modern advertising. Women smoking cigarettes, orange juice, sex education. He's inspired with the idea of introducing psychological manipulation into advertising by John E. Kennedy. And I mentioned Aaron Schwartz, the real person, supposedly real person, Aaron Schwartz, in the last video, but I didn't have any material to show about it. So I'm going to review this real quick before we get into Walter Parks. The Genius, which was the original script, began its transformation into War Games when Parks and Lasker met Peter Schwartz from the Stanford Research Institute. There was a new subculture of extremely bright kids developing into what would become known as hackers, said Schwartz. Schwartz made the connection between youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Schwartz made the connection between youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Now look here in the DVD insert, the DVD jacket pamphlet, which I'll go through completely in a later video. It may seem silly, stupid, but I have found that these are actually the best source of information regarding movies. Is the original, press packets, VHS, DVD inserts, because the stuff on the internet is constantly being changed, adjusted, memory hold. And you could argue that through, the Mandela effect, that this stuff is too. But, at least from the nuts and bolts, exoteric explanation of things, we have a static record in these DVD and VHS pamphlets, even Laserdisc, Betamax, whatever. But anyway, this one page in the DVD jacket, this must be referring to what the same kid that the Wikipedia article is referring to. And basically, they said they had this kid, some super bright prodigy hacker, come in and show them how to actually change the grades on the computer. If you remember, there's a couple scenes where Matthew Broderick is hacking into the school's computer system, changing his grade and his girlfriend's grade.
They change the password every couple of weeks, but I know where they write it down.
Those your grades?
Yeah, I deserved an F. Do you?
You can't do that.
Your biology grade.
No, I don't want you to do that. You're going to get me in trouble.
No, nobody can find out. There, you just got a C. Now you don't have to go to summer school.
Change it back.
No, got an A. I was kidding.
So, Steve Grummett, who wrote the software that simulated Lightman's perusal of his grades on his school's computer, had invited a high school student to come in and show him how to do exactly that. So they invited a real high school student to come in and show them how he changes the grades. No grades were changed, however, during that meeting. And then the wiki. When Parks and Lasker met Peter Schwartz from the Stanford Research Institute, Schwartz made the connection between youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Schwartz Stanford. Schwartz, Stanford. Youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Schwartz, Stanford. Aaron Schwartz. This is a story worth knowing about, even just because of the narrative, regardless of how true it is. So look here. Aaron Schwartz was an American computer programmer, entrepreneur, writer, political organizer, and internet hacktivist. He was involved in the development of the web feed format, RSS, the Markdown publishing format, Creative Commons, the website framework, WebPY, co-founder, designer of Reddit, co-founder of Y Combinator, Infogami. Basically, this kid, he was a child prodigy. The RSS stuff in Creative Commons, he's like 10, 12 years old, designing, getting patents, building the internet. Stanford. Aaron Schwartz, Stanford. A lot of weird numbers in here, too. Died 1/11/13. So you break that down into month, day, year with 2 digits each. It's going to be 11/11/3. Okay, his first big action that he first caught the attention of the FBI for. I'm sure they obviously already knew who he was, designing the internet, building all this stuff, child prodigy. But his first run-in with the law was having to do with this PACER system. I'm sure you Q-tards, they're well aware of this with the however many thousand indictments, hidden indictments. 27 numbers all over, 999. Basically, PACER is a website that puts all legal documents behind a paywall. And like we always talk about, you're always breaking a law. There's like 80,000 laws on the books. The average American commits 15 felonies a day unknowingly. And our law is based on precedent, meaning if there's a ruling in an applicable similar case, that sets a precedent. That becomes the law, unless it's challenged and overturned. So in order to know the law, to know your rights, you have to have access to the legal record. And we don't. It's behind a paywall. You need certain credentials. Not everyone can get to it. Not everyone knows how to do it. And they charge 8 cents per page. So basically, he was downloading, but they're supposed to be free, legally. This is illegal, what they're doing. Not that that fucking matters. It's not right. That's what we should say. So he starts basically just downloading these and sourcing them for free to people on the internet so people can know their rights and know the law. And he gets railroaded by the FBI for this, but eventually they have to drop charges. Okay, in the middle here, 17 numbers. Mahmoud appealed to fellow activists, urging them to visit one of 17 libraries conducting a free trial of the PACER system. I don't know if I have it. The FBI arrests them. They end up dropping charges eventually. Now, the next event that leads to him committing suicide is a similar thing, but it's with JSTOR. And what JSTOR is one of these services that basically, just like PACER puts all these legal documents behind a paywall, JSTOR puts all the academic journal articles behind a paywall. So the same way, like we're supposed to be able to learn, it's supposed to be an open society, we're supposed to be able to learn and challenge and reproduce these experiments and these academic journal articles, but we don't have access to them. Only big universities do. They put them behind a paywall, and no one's able to access this information. And this, this is what hinders science, but they make it all out like it's just an accident, inefficiency. We know this is all on purpose. So basically, you're allowed to download these documents if you're a student, So even in that way, he really didn't break any law, but he wrote a script and hid his computer in a janitor's closet where it's just constantly downloading millions of these documents. And they said it put a strain on their system, but the real thing is, you know, they don't want them dumping all these articles on the internet because that's their business. And the funny part is they railroad him. The Secret Service, the FBI, everyone's involved. Federal government. Even before he gets arrested, they're there. Like, they're all over this shit. And the funny part is JSTOR doesn't want to pursue it. They just want it to stop. And they don't want a lot of attention brought to this because it's obviously, if not illegal, it's unethical, their business model. So they don't want a lot of attention brought to it. So they drop, all they could do anyway would be pursue a civil lawsuit. But basically they drop the case if he surrenders the data. So there would be no case, but the government won't drop it. The government then picks up the case as a federal case. And what do they use? What do they charge him with? They charge him with 2 counts of wire fraud, federal prosecutors, and they charge him with 11 violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. The Computer Fraud and Abuse Act is what they use to charge him. WarGames was the first mass-consumed visual representation of dial-up remote computer access, and it served as both a vehicle and framework for America's earliest discussion of the technology. In the wake of the film, major news media focused on the potential for the WarGames scenario to exist in reality. This focus contributed to the creation of the first U.S. federal internet policy, the Counterfeit Access Device and Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984. This contributed to the creation of the first U.S. federal internet policy, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984. Aaron Schwartz charged with 11 violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act of 1984. Parks and Lasker met Peter Schwartz from Stanford. Schwartz made the connection between youth, computers, gaming, and the military. Schwartz, Stanford, youth, computers, the military. 1984, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Okay? Aaron Schwartz, hacker, youth, computer, prodigy, Stanford. Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, 1984. Okay. So, now the dates. He's arrested January 6, 2011. Okay? So, this is 1/6/11. 1 and 6 is 7. That's 7/11. By MIT police and United States Secret Service. Not just regular police, not campus police, the Secret Service. They're there before he's arrested, okay? Next date, literally 7/11. On July 11th, 7/11/11. Schwartz was indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of wire fraud, computer fraud, unlawfully obtaining information from a protected computer, and recklessly damaging a protected computer. I want you to think about this. This is for downloading academic journal articles. He didn't even release any of them. No profit, no financial motive, and he's allowed to access them. He's allowed to download them. But he downloaded too many. That's it. According to the story. You know, this is a story. Everything we look at is a story. I'm just trying to show the fractal nature of reality and the parts that men and women do play in it. Okay? His second indictment. 11/17. November 17, 11. Okay? If we put that into the month, day, year with 2-digit system, it's 11/17/11. Okay? 111711. 777, 117, 711, any way you look at it. Then, you can't make this up, they file a superseding indictment 1 day after the day. September 12th, 2012. Federal prosecutors filed a superseding indictment adding 9 more felony counts, which increased Schwartz's maximum criminal exposure to 50 years imprisonment and $1 million in fines. 13, the sixth prime, 9 and 2, 11, 93 million miles from Earth. 13 federal crimes. 711, 711, 711. Okay, now we're going to move on to Walter Parks. Who is Walter Parks?
Shall we play a game?
Okay, Walter Parks. Real name, Walter Stephen Fishman. I'm going to do a video in the future about the fishmen. That's us. We're fish. We're in a virtual environment. We're in time, which is water. We're in the fish tank. We don't think we're underwater. We are underwater. Just like oil, water, air. It's just another liquid. Another virtual environment. So I'm going to do some stuff in the future about the fish. About fishmen and why we're fish and all the truth drops about us being fish in movies. But apparently Fishman isn't a very good Hollywood name, so he changed that. And both these guys are very hard to find, like, really information on them. All there really is the official press pack information. Very hard to find pictures of both of these guys. They come out of nowhere. They both went to Yale. Yeah, hard to find information, hard to find pictures. It's a little easier to find pictures and information on Lasker, grandson of businessman Albert Lasker. Walter Parks is really hard to find pics and info. I'm not saying you won't find a couple pictures, but there's not many. Okay, real quick, just with the Aaron Schwartz thing. I just want to point out, whether this is crafted by the reality or crafted by men and women, I just want to point out that the point of the Aaron Schwartz story is information that is supposed to be free that isn't. Information we're supposed to have access to, but we don't. That's what the whole Aaron Schwartz story is about, is about the danger of having access to information, or more exactly, it's for us, like it's pointing out the fallacy of the argument of information is dangerous. And it's just illustrating that if you go against that narrative, this is how you end up. Aaron Schwartz. But his whole story is about trying to expose hidden information that we are supposed to have access to. That's what the whole Aaron Schwartz story is about. Okay, Walter Parks, born 4/15/1951, is an American producer, screenwriter, and media executive. The producer of more than 50 films, including Men in Black, Memory Wipes, Minority Report, Pre-Crime. He is the co-founder and co-chairman of Dreamscape Immersive. That becomes DreamWorks. This dude's the head of DreamWorks. Parks and his wife, business partner Laurie McDonald, helped to build DreamWorks, with Parks the head of its motion picture division. The head of the motion picture division. The two later moved to Amblin Entertainment, where Parks served as president. This is Steven Spielberg's production company, Amblin Entertainment, with the E.T. kid on the bicycle with E.T. and the milk crate up front is the logo in front of the moon, the Death Star. It also is like, it's a play on NAMBLA, Amblin Entertainment. He's the president of Steven Spielberg's production company. He has been nominated for 3 Academy Awards, receiving his first nomination as the director-producer of the 1975 documentary The California Reich. This is the origin of the Berkeley Nazi meme in culture. This is it. This is the origin of the American Nazi meme. So, Lasker's first movie is War Games. Huge blockbuster movie with military props and support. But Parks, his friend from Yale, childhood friend, he was their foot in the door, supposedly, because he had already made a movie, a documentary, which was nominated for an Academy Award. This is how he caught Hollywood's attention, supposedly. And this is what we're going to look at in the next video, is this movie that got his foot in the door, The California Reich. It's completely phony. It's hilarious. We're going to mirror it with the Blues Brothers sequence. It's going to be a real great fucking time. So that's his first credit. His second credit is for co-writing the original screenplay for War Games, and his third as a producer of Awakenings, which has many secondary meanings, obviously, to that movie. It's a Robin Williams movie. It's about people waking up out of a coma after many years. Parks was born in Bakersfield, California. He attended Yale University and graduated cum laude. So they both go to Yale University, and he graduated cum laude from Yale? Wow, that's impressive. He graduated cum laude from Yale. That's very impressive.
Those are your grades?
Yeah, I deserved an F. Do you? I deserved an F. Do you?
Anyway, I'm sure that's completely unrelated. So, he attended Yale University and graduated magna cum laude in 1973. Okay, we can see films he served as an executive producer on: the Men in Black series, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Deep Impact. So he's got Kubrick movies in here. He works with Robert Zemeckis. That's the Back to the Future tie-in. In 1994, Parks was named president of Steven Spielberg's NAMBLA Entertainment. President of Steven Spielberg's company. Okay? Later that year, he and his wife and business partner, Laurie McDonald, were tapped to help create DreamWorks. As the studio's president, Parks, in partnership with his wife, oversaw development and production of all DreamWorks film projects. All DreamWorks film projects, including 3 consecutive Best Picture Oscar winners. What are the chances of that? They're doing really good work over there. Very fortuitous. He oversees 3 consecutive Best Picture Oscar winners: American Beauty, Degenerate, Gladiator, and A Beautiful Mind. I could go on and on about all 3 of those movies and what the purpose of those narratives are. Anyway, yeah, and he's got movies with Robert Zemeckis, Cameron Crowe. He has a big hand in Saving Private Ryan with Spielberg, which is the top-grossing film of 1998. Here's where things... I know you thought things were already interesting. No. Here's where things get really interesting. Parks is a member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Writers Guild of America, the Global Business Network. Wait, what? What does that have to do with movies? Global Business Network. He is on the board of directors for the Center for a New American Security, CNAS. Okay, we're going to look at this. This is an obvious play on Project for a New American Century, PNAC, Project for New American Century, Center for a New American Security, CNAS. And yup, it's exactly as bad as you expect it to be. Real quick though, before we go into CNAS, I stumbled across this little nugget from a TV show called Greek. There's a character in the show called Lasker Parks. Lasker Parks. Lawrence Lasker, Walter Parks. Lasker Parks is a Kappa Tau Gamma alumni. He is the father of Peter Parks. When he was inactive, he created the Joshua Whopper program. He is responsible for betraying his fraternity and getting the KT house demolished so he can donate an athletic center, bread and circuses, to Cypress Rhodes University, one of the origins in the exoteric of this big plan. Cecil B. Rhodes, Rhodes Scholar, Rhodesia, Rhodes University. Okay, so what is this referencing? What is this telling us? It's all about these guys, Lasker and Parks, both go to Yale. They're members of a fraternity, okay? And they betray their brothers, okay? Yale, secret society, Lasker Parks, traitors, betray their brothers, members of a secret society, Yale, okay? Famous home of you-know-who. This is a prominent fraternity, we'll call it, at Yale University, where Walter Parks graduated cum laude. Both these guys went. They're both legacies, where their fathers went. Quick aside here. When John Kerry was asked about his initiation into the order, the person asking the question was promptly tased and arrested, leading to an internet meme.
All right. Also, were you a member of Stolen Rooms, College and Bush? Were you in the same secret society?
That's all right. Let me answer this question.
Excuse me, were you arrested? Whoa. Is anybody watching this? What are you doing? Are you kidding? You're arresting me. What have I done? Get away from me, man. Dude, help! Put your hand on your back. Hurt me, man. Get off of me. Get the f off of me, man. I didn't do anything. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. I didn't do anything. Ow! Anybody want to follow along? Just come with us. Make sure they don't kill me.
And, of course, the OG, the cold gun, Tim Russert. In the 2004 presidential campaign, Tim Russert on Meet the Press asked both President Bush and John Kerry about their membership in S&B, to which the president replied, "It's so secret we can't talk about it." Kerry replied, "You trying to get rid of me here?" Yeah, I like that. He went out on a limb. Even though he's an actor and he was acting like a cold gun. And I like that. So I want to say, God bless, R.I.P., Tim Russert, cold gun. Okay, so that's the Yale connection. So now we're looking at CNAS. He is on Walter Parks, Global Business Network, and he's on the board of directors for CNAS, Center for a New American Security. Fucking joke. Let's look at the wiki. Center for a New American Security. He's on the board of directors. Okay, it's a think tank, It specializes in the United States national security issues. CNAS's stated mission is to develop strong, pragmatic, and principled national security and defense policies that promote and protect American interests and values, like freedom of information, right? CNAS focuses on terrorism and irregular warfare. Okay, that's this guy's specialty. That's what war games is, irregular warfare. Even the name of the movie, like what is war a game? Is it a game? Are they war games? Focuses on terrorism and irregular warfare, the future of the U.S. military, the emergence of Asia as a global power center, and the national security implications of natural resource consumption. We got to get down to that zero carbon. Former Deputy Secretary of State James Steinberg has called CNAS an indispensable feature on the Washington landscape. Go down a little bit. CNAS is relatively small, with around 30 employees and a budget under $6 million. They did that just to put a 3.6 there. Whether the reality machine did it, I think the people probably did it themselves, honestly. Because if you look over on the right side, their revenue is $8.7 million a year. Their expenses are $7.2 million a year. So their budget would have to be somewhere between $7 and $8 million, not under $6 million. We look at the top donors. I blew it up here, up at the top. It's exactly who you'd expect. Northrop Grumman, Airbus, Boeing, Lockheed, Raytheon, all the big boys. BP, ExxonMobil, and what's this one? Open Society Foundation. What's that? This is their homepage of the CNAS website. This is the homepage. It's the first thing you hit. Rebooting congressional cybersecurity oversight. So you can see what I'm saying about what War Games is, what it's for, and how their activities carry straight through to today. You know, they're on a mission. They've been given their mission, and they're still fulfilling it. That's like when you make these deals, it's never over. It's a lifetime gig, you know? That's why Bob Dylan's still touring up there, Crypt Keeper, and doing Victoria's Secret and Chevy commercials. Okay, top donors, along with all the defense and oil companies, we got Open Society. Who is Open Society? Open Society is Soros. Soros. Major donor of CNAS. Okay. Okay, back to the original Walter Parks wiki. He's the president of Steven Spielberg's company, Nambla Entertainment, and of DreamWorks. Okay? President of DreamWorks, president of Amblin Entertainment. So what happens to DreamWorks? What happened to DreamWorks? The second iteration of Viacom, which had recently split from the original at the end of 2005, so there's two Viacoms. This is all done on purpose. This selling back and forth, splitting, remerging, changing names, because there's only like a handful of people at the, like I was saying, at the base research layer here. So they got to kind of spread it out and make it look like there's more entities involved. But this is like what I was talking about with the buildings, with the towers, with Vornado and Brookfield, where they sell it back and forth, pay down the debt, sell it back between all these fictitious entities. Just kind of pass it around, milk money out of it, get a bailout, what have you. And there's these entities that whenever they need money will just step in and inject money, because it's about their mission, not about money. None of this is a business. So, on March 17th, 2006, Viacom agreed to sell a controlling interest in DreamWorks Pictures to Soros Strategic Partners and Dune Entertainment 2. We're going to focus on the first one. If you look at Dune Entertainment 2, that ends up being Brett Ratner, who's accused of being, you know, a rapist. He's got kind of run out with all this Me Too stuff. So that's who Dune Entertainment is. It's nothing cool. Not cool. Nothing to do with Frank Herbert. It's called Dune Rat Pack. Anyway, so DreamWorks sells a controlling interest to Soros. Okay, that's in 2006. Then in 2010, Viacom repurchases Soros, controlling stake. Viacom, they sell it to Jorge. A few years later, they buy it back from Jorge for half as much. This is some way of getting paid, of covering the expenses of the mission. They're selling the buildings and entities back and forth between these fictitious entities. This fund that this guy controls, averaging a 20% annual rate of return over 4 decades. That's impossible. We all understand that, right? That's not organically possible. I hope you guys get that. And look at their headquarters. They are headquartered at 250-25, 5 times 5. 250 West 55th Street in New York. So you think I'm tripping with all the 555, 666, 777 stuff? With the buildings? It's, I don't know exactly what it is. It's some sort of source of power, the symbol, on like the energy, the will, the creative force coming into this realm. They're sitting on access points to the underground. So symbolically, energetically, and also geographically, with access to the underground is where these buildings are going to be. But anyway, the fund, that is impossible. You can't average a 20% annual rate of return over 4 decades. Through the financial crisis, through all this stuff, it's nonsense. Okay, and the last part in the same vein of financial difficulties of DreamWorks and where the money comes from, supposedly. Okay, look at this. In June 2008, DreamWorks was looking for financing that would allow it to continue operations. So this is in the financial crisis. They need money. They're looking for money. Several public equity funds were approached for financing, including Blackstone Group. Okay, remember the towers. Blackstone Group, 777 Tower. They share a building with Kissinger. This is Kissinger. Blackstone Group, under AIG. Insurance runs the world, 777 Tower. So DreamWorks, Soros, Spielberg, these guys supposedly ask Blackstone, Kissinger, AIG for money to continue their mission. And just like Vornado, this is going to be the same kind of entity here, Reliance, okay? In September 2008, financial crisis, Variety reported that DreamWorks closed a deal with Indian investment firm Reliance Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group. You see, that's just like Amblin, just like Namblin, Ambani. But it's Reliance. Anal Reliance. You can't look at this. That's literally what it is. Reliance on anal. Anal reliance. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Anywho. So, they bail them out. Then in 2009, they enter into a 30-picture deal with Walt Disney. We're tying the whole ball of wax together here. We got Soros, we got Kissinger, we got Walt Disney, we got Blackstone AIG, we got Raytheon, we got Northrop Grumman, we got them all. We got Open Society. So, That's in 2009. DreamWorks raises $325 million from Reliance, anal Reliance, and an additional $325 million in debt in 2009. So that someone gives them $325 million and they somehow get $325 million more in debt. Which it doesn't say from who. It has to be from someone. You can't just pull credit out of your fucking ass. Okay, look. So they make a bunch of shitty movies, mission movies. This left DreamWorks so financially drained that by 2011, the company was seeking additional funding from Reliance. Reliance gave a $200 million investment in 2012. So they just keep pouring fucking money into this thing. Reliance, whenever they need money, Reliance just pours in the money. It's not a business. It's a mission. Okay? Okay, so that was part 2 of War Games. Who is Walter Parks?
Shall we play a game?